It really came from conversations long before Chris even started shooting the movie. The idea, what is anarchy? How do we describe anarchy in music? And it was interesting how through Chris's script and then him casting Heath and paintings we were looking at, art we were looking at. The questions were constantly asked, so what is this character? How does this character work? How does this function? And quite independently, we all came to this sort of, of course it was Heath's performance, but, at the end what I was doing was so in sync with him and so automatically in sync with him. There was never any doubt that this was going to work. And at the same time, if you think about it, if we're working on the Batman sequel, and I turn around to my director and I say to him, "Well, what do you think? A single note?" The director can go two ways here. He can either go and lift up the phone and phone somebody who he thinks is a serious composer, or he can go, "Oh yeah, that could be interesting. Tell me more." And the idea is really simple. The idea is, we perceive music usually as the relationship of one note to each other, and I had this idea that since the character is so constant, he's the most truthful character in the movie. He always follows through. He's fearless. There's something very interesting about how constant he is, and at the same time you never know when he's going to snap. And I just thought, what if it was one note and you never knew where it started and you never knew where it was going to end? And the way I'd written it out for Martin Tillman, the cellist, I had, obviously there was one note, but then there was a whole list of instructions of, a slightly worried, a little bit more, whatever. I can't actually tell you exactly the words because we get into trouble for those words. They start with F and stuff like that. But from slightly worried to very, very angry, and try to do it within one thing. But the problem was, of course, here I have Martin, who has spent his life learning how to make a beautiful sound on his instrument. So I kept hearing him act. So not so much for me, but for him it was actually much harder to do than I expected. And so there was actually one day where I just knew I just had to get him bored. I just had to get him to stop thinking about it. I had to get him to stop performing in a way, because I thought that was what was so great about Heath's performance, in the way he inhabited it so well that it never felt like somebody was acting. And it was so I wrote things for Martin which I knew would never end up in the movie, but they were really complicated and really hard on the fingers, and I kept just driving him all day, to find, and I would make him play solo all the time with no backing or anything. So finally in the evening he said, "Oh, okay, hang on. Can I just take a break? Let me just play a note for myself." And that was really the note. So I do apologize constantly to him, and even more so to his parents, because all that money they spent on tuition for their son to make him sound beautiful, and then he's quite famous for making a horrible noise now.